mean, you've been teaching for a while now. What are maybe some tips to help them improve? Sure. And maybe what are some common mistakes you see?
Yeah. So for Brazilian Zouk, for new leads, the biggest tip I can give you is learn your fundamental moves, your fundamental kind of core movement, basic moves, and just practice them and practice them and practice it. Because it's a new way of dancing. There's so much contemporary and ballet and body awareness in Zouk that you don't need to have in salsa and bachata and kizomba. Maybe a little more so in kizomba than the other two that I mentioned. But if you don't have that body awareness and you don't practice a lot, it's easy to fall back as a lead and get discouraged.
Okay, you know? Right.
So those of y'all that have that contemporary background, I think Zouk's going to come more easily to you. But folks without that background, it's a challenge at the start. You really got to observe and practice and just, don't stop practicing.
Yeah.
I see that new leads, they'll take classes and then they will come out and practice at the socials. And the whole point of creating Segunda Feira was to create this playground.
Okay, right.
Leads. We didn't have that when we taught that first year. So basically from like January to July, there wasn't really any social practice.
Of course, yeah. And that's, you kind of like practice it that one time, that one instance. And then you wait till next week, right?
Exactly. So you'll have no way to retain.
Right. I want to ask you this. So you gave me some tips for the leads.
Yes.
Can you give me some tips for the follows?
Yes, absolutely. So very similar to the leads. Highly encourage both leads and follows to take the classes and really master the fundamentals. Learn what the vocabulary is.
Okay, right.
The lateral, the virginia, the basic step, the boneca movement, and practice, dance with as many leads as you can, because then you can understand how to control your body. And to be able to dance solo as a follow is so important to understand your weight shift and your weight transfer and when to engage your core, when to relax your muscles. One of my role model follow instructors is Brenda Carvalho.
Okay.
And she's a big proponent of relaxing.
I'm sorry, who's her partner?
Her partner is Anderson.
Yeah, I interviewed them.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be the best.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds familiar.
They're amazing.
They are good. Yeah.
They're all about connection and relaxing muscles and not using unnecessary muscles.
Okay.
So having a relaxed upper body and utilizing the rib cage and down as a base. Same thing Peter and I learned from Paulo and Luisa.
Okay.
Only the necessary and for me, that was mind-blowing.
You were able to take some class with them, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I've taken a lot of workshops with both Paulo, Luisa, and Brenda and Anderson.
Okay, sure enough.
They call themselves Branderson. I love it.
Okay, sure enough.
And,
they were really, I enjoyed them. They were
they're
good.
Phenomenal. They make the Brazilian Zouk partnership dance feel like a massage. It's amazing the way they utilize their muscles. And it really in salsa and bachata, it's really easy to be on autopilot and just tense up your muscles and lead with this really rigid frame. In Zouk, you have to be so conscious of the muscles that are tense and the muscles when they're relaxed. And in head movement, as one of our instructors in our recent New Orleans weekender, Jeremy Hale mentioned, you want to softly engage your muscles. You don't want to over engage and do your boneca movement.
Right. I think that's for any dance that you don't ever want to be too tense.
Exactly.
To be more as loose maybe is always a benefit.
It's the body awareness, the muscle and bone awareness that I've learned as a result of Brazilian Zouk. I haven't gotten that from any other dance.
Okay.
So I have such a respect for follows.
Especially the good ones, right? Yeah.
Especially the good ones, because it's such immediate, here's the signal. Here's what I have to do with my head.
Okay. Right.
Here's what I'm going to do with my head. You're dancing in multi-dimensions.
It is. It's a lot different.
Yeah,
definitely.
You're at this axis in salsa all the time.
Exactly.
But in Zouk, you're here. You're
Right.
Dimensions. It's really cool.
My fault. Go ahead.
And one of the things that I have noticed is that the difference, at least, for me as a follow, in salsa, the lead tends to be, I don't want to say strong, but firm. And Brazilian Zouk is the opposite. They're so gentle
Yes.
that me coming from salsa, learning salsa, it's like that was way too gentle.
It's a
Like I
challenge.
barely like I don't know if that was like you like initiating a move or you just happened to touch me there. They're so
Sure.
gentle.
Yeah, I noticed that too in Brazilian Zouk, and I know that there's varying opinions around gentle leads or light leads in Zouk, but one thing I have so much respect for with a gentle lead is it makes you really focus on the lead and listen.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Because it takes more concentration to listen to a light lead. And, this might mean double spin. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but, there's so many things you can play with when you have a light lead and a receptive follow. And I call it efficient dancing.
Okay.
When you know when to engage what muscles and you know how to listen and you know how to receive light signals, it comes with practice.
Of course.
Yeah, and I have a couple of leads in New Orleans that are really working on that. Particularly Peter, he's trying to work on very light leading. It's a challenge.
Of
to be
course,
light.
of course.
I just recently went to Zouk Minneapolis's weekender where they had Guy and Valeska there, and he's all about super light leading and just barely touching and. You basically break the layers of having a good connection when you're able to dance lightly. You can follow lightly.
It's like you say, it's practice, and as a follows, you get used to it. But it also shows that you don't need. I don't even know if force is the right word. You don't need too much of anything, because if they're leading that, it's because there's somebody out there just able to follow. And to be that sensitive, you had to be so willing.
Exactly.
You just had to let go.
You hit the nail on the head. So that's where Zouk starts to break barriers. Is it explores how deep a connection can go in a dance in terms of leading and following and listening to each other. You really can have the most minimal muscle engagement, minimal touching, and as long as y'all are connected to one another in the dance, you guys can get away with some miraculous movement. It's just so efficient. One thing that I learned from a tango training that I went to with Peter is there were two instructors there, Liz and Yannick. They're amazing. They said that if your dancing is safe, efficient, and fun, that it's kind of like the best dance.
I believe it. Yeah.
And so if you can refer back to those concepts, and if you can say, is my dance really as efficient as it can be? Is it as safe as it can be? And is it as fun as it can be? That's how you know. And I think Zouk really expands a lot on those three concepts. If you really take it seriously, it's really easy to be a rigid lead, and it's easy to be a rigid follow and only be receptive to one style of leading. But to be able to be versatile and to learn what a light lead feels like and what those responses are, I mean, you can dance with any lead if you can do that.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
So much respect.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good observation.
Yeah. Tina, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, do you have a tip that will make follows more receptive to those light signals?
That's a great question. So again, my first tip is always practice. Being light or being able to be more receptive to light signals really takes patience. Because I know when I went from dancing with more firm leads to more light leads, in my head I'm always like, man, this guy is such a beep,
Okay.
This guy's not being confident with me. He's giving me light signals.
Yes,
I don't know
okay.
what he wants, But the more I learned, the more movements I learned, and the more higher level dancing, congresses I went to, the more I noticed that higher level leads are lighter as leads. And I was like, oh, so this is a thing. If you want to become a better follow, you actually don't want to rely on your lead for balance or to hold up your own weight or to, assist you in whatever head movement you're doing. I basically should be able to dance an entire dance on my own, imagining that a lead is leading me. And I would start doing that. And then I was able to be more receptive to lighter leads because now I'm holding up my own weight with confidence. I'm like able to do body rolls and stuff while moving because I understand what the signal is. I'm able to hold myself. They're I'm able to keep my timing as a follow, but I can also get the lightest lead and I know what they're saying and they don't have to worry about keeping up the timing, holding my weight up, and they can play around. So when you get to that level, that is what makes you more receptive. It's the practicing of the fundamentals, understanding where your weight is as a follow, and not depending on the lead so much with those fundamental things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Practice. That's
Yeah,
always
solo
the
dancing.
answer.
That's right. Practice is, that's right.